Art is too important not to share. Welcome to the Allie and Callie Artcast.
Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Callie. Welcome to the Artcast.
Yes, welcome. We are here at our studio on this gorgeous sunny day.
It is a sunny day. It's like yummy and sunny.
Yep.
It's a new word. The word today is summy.
Summy.
Use it in a sentence.
Yes. The day is so summy, I want to take a nap.
Agree. I agree. It's lovely out. But
you know why else I want to take a nap?
Why?
Because I had the best massage of my life this morning.
I am jealous. I am getting one soon. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, her name is Shelley Stroh, and she is awesome.
Okay.
I met her at the gym, and somebody that introduced us said that she gave the best massages, and she totally lived up to all of my expectations.
Good.
So thank you, Shelley.
Excellent. Well, I'll be calling her soon.
There you go.
Because my neck, if this were smeller radio, you would smell my icy hot on my neck. But my neck I went to the chiropractor, and it's been weeks of my neck being so messed up. And he's like, well, we've tried this, we've tried that. Why don't we do deep tissue massage? And I'm like, yes, why don't we?
Well, you should talk to Shelley because she does something, I forget what it's called, but I think it would be perfect for you.
Okay, I'll check into it. So I can't wait to try that, Shelley. That sounds great. Well, I will definitely check it out. It says, what else is going on? I'm trying to think of anything.
I have a new grandbaby.
You do have a new grandbaby. Tell us what's going on with that new grandbaby.
Oh, she's a week old. And she's tiny.
Yeah.
And she's perfect.
Aw.
You know how babies, they just smell good and their skin is so soft.
Oh, yeah.
All she wants to do is eat and then she poops.
Yep. Well, that's kind of... We call that the first stage blob.
Right.
The blob.
The blob.
They're cute blobs, but they basically eat, sleep, and poop.
That's exactly
that's it.
Right. Yep.
So,
Hendrix has given her a nickname. So they named her Georgia Goldie.
That's cute.
It's cute.
And what does he call her?
Oscar.
I love that so much because that's just, I don't know, that's cute.
It's really cute.
I wonder where he got that.
He's really into Ghostbusters.
Oh.
And there's an Oscar in Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
And that's where that came from.
That's cute. Oh my gosh. Well, I've been spending time with my grandbaby when I can, Selah. I planted my flowers.
Yay!
And
do you have a bunch of bunnies?
So far, not in my yard. I've seen them only in the front, so
right,
I'm not planting.
Crossed.
I know. I've seen.
So you'll keep your flowers.
Yeah, I've kind of barricaded all my flowers, even in the pots. I've got chicken wire everywhere. So I'm just tired of buying flowers and then having them eaten. I love the bunnies. Don't get me wrong. I love them, but they're kind of a nuisance.
Yeah.
But they're cute. So
they are cute.
Yeah, but they can go. They can go live on a farm.
Well, maybe you should take some photos of your flowers, and that way if they get eaten, at least you can look at photos later.
I'll remember.
Or you could hang a photo of your flowers where the flowers used to be.
That's probably what I'll end up doing eventually, because we'll see how long they last. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of photography.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Our guest today is Joel Riner.
Hi, Joel.
And Joel
Hello.
is well known for his photography, has been in our area for a long time. Did you grow up here?
I moved here in 1979, my sophomore year in high school.
You moved here the same year I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. So what brought you to Coeur d'Alene?
My family moved here. My stepdad got a job as a deputy supervisor for the Panhandle Forests. Mm-hmm. And they twisted my arm. Obviously, I had no choice. But
Right.
but one of the things they showed me was pictures with the Playland Pier.
Oh,
And I was like,
right.
that looks fun. course, it wasn't here when we got here.
Yeah, that was the year. Wasn't that the year they took it down?
I'm
or
not sure
maybe the
exactly.
year before.
It was-
Yeah. Gone.
But I loved it as soon as I got here. Made friends with Mike Anderson, who you know of, and a bunch of that gang up at Micah Flats, and the mountains and the lakes and everything. I just loved it, and my family moved away after I graduated, and I said,
And you stayed.
I kind of like
I
it.
like it here.
So what got you into photography?
Well, again, a long time ago, but when I graduated from high school, my dad got me the old manual big clunker camera, Minolta camera, and then I did go away to go to junior college in Illinois, where he taught, and he got me a job in the photo lab.
Oh,
there,
fun.
working with the, they have dark rooms and basically like a studio, and just doing all sorts of things and helping. And so I took classes, the photography classes. After the first year of that, I thought, this is pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And my baseball career wasn't going anywhere.
The majors weren't calling.
No.
Dang it.
It just wasn't happening. So then I started looking into furthering my education in photography. I went to another year there. But then I moved back here. Was working at Mr. Steak and ended up getting...
I remember Mr. Steak.
Yeah. That was kind of fun. But I ended up getting a job with a little studio on Sherman, doing darkroom work and helping out with photography. And I was looking into Brooks Institute of Photography, which is in Santa Barbara, and Columbia College in Chicago, different art photography schools.
Right.
They were pretty expensive, but I was pretty set on going. But then Quicksilver Studios opened. Actually, I was applying at the time for a job for the Coeur d'Alene Press, some photography or darkroom job. Can't remember exactly, but I interviewed with Brad Hagedon, and he said, well, I kind of filled that position, but I'm opening a studio, and I think I got a spot for you there.
Nice.
So I started with them when they very first opened in 1986. I decided that I was going to learn and make money, and as opposed to going to school and spending a bunch of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Seems like it worked out for you.
you bet.
Yeah.
Had a lot of years there. So.
Yes, you were working there when I met you. Because I was working at NIC.
Okay, right, yeah.
The photography for NIC.
Yeah, I used to do photography for them, different things, but I remember for quite a while I did aerial photography from helicopters, no drones back then. Anyway, so I used to also give some talks at Phil Corliss's class. I don't know if it was every year, but did it quite a few times, which was fun. And yeah, I started out at Quicksilver just assisting on the commercial photo shoots and running the dark rooms, which was a fair amount of work, but fun. Eventually transitioned to doing senior photos and weddings and all that stuff, and then transitioned once again to taking over the commercial department. Brad moved on to the corporate position, and I did that for a long time.
And what kind of photos did you do during that?
I did all the Hagedon entities, whether it was the Coeur d'Alene Resort, the resort golf course, Beverly's, Dockside, Lake City Cruises, the Woodboat place, and the Coeur d'Alene Magazine. I did for maybe 20 years or something like that.
And didn't you get to go on some incredible trips?
I did do, the big one, I guess there was two of them, but was for the Lady Lola that I went on with Brad, and the rest of the Hagedons too. Dwayne and Lola were there, but photographing the Lady Lola yacht. We flew to France and They had the
Tough job.
Wow.
Cannes boat show, or Monaco boat show, I guess it was called. It won the best boat. I don't know the exact word.
Oh, really?
It was freshly built at that time, and so we spent a week on the boat and photographing it. It was a lot of work, but it was also quite an experience.
Right.
And then I don't know exactly how long, maybe a year or something later, we flew to Acapulco to do more photography. They changed some things on it. So those were definitely, that was quite an experience. And of course, that was right about when digital was just coming in. So we were still shooting film for that. I did bring a digital camera, but it just wasn't quality enough to use for things. But we shot film for years and years, large format film, and like putting the cape over your head and
Oh, right.
looking at it upside down. But 2001-ish, I think, we started transitioning to digital, which I never had a concept that was even going to be a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it would take off.
I mean, I just thought I was going to learn as everything there could be about film, because I processed film and printed my own stuff and framed it and matted it and the whole nine. And I thought, okay, if I just keep doing this forever, I'm gonna be pretty good.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, you gotta learn this stuff all over again.
Yeah.
There's more.
All these young people are now way ahead of you.
Do you still work with film, though?
Well, I have a lot of film. I don't shoot film anymore. I think about now and then getting another large format 4x5 camera, but it would just be kind of for certain fun things. I mean, I used to haul my heavy, big 4x5 stuff up into the mountains all over North Idaho and took it to Hawaii and Mexico and all over the place, shooting, nature, scenic art, hopefully, photos. And once I started getting into the digital, it was a while before I didn't do film again at all, but at a certain point I just went strictly digital. There's obviously headaches with digital, but everything's kind of in one spot. You shoot and you download to your computer, and you don't have the chemicals and the this and that and the other thing.
You can fix them on your computer, right?
Yeah.
You do all that.
There's definitely a lot of manipulation to be done on most things. There's certain shoots that you don't need to, or the client doesn't want it, whatever. But a lot of what I shoot, and it's not like I'm taking things and making them unreal.
Right.
I'm actually trying to make them look as real as possible. And that's a lot of what goes into, I don't know if we talked about yet, but one of the things I do a lot of now is the architecture photography. It's pretty involved in terms of the post, the Photoshop work that needs to be done on each photo. I spent all morning working on 2 photos.
I know, it can be pretty time consuming.
For all your screen printing needs, trust the local you can count on. Pyramid Printing has been a Coeur d'Alene favorite for over 2 decades.
Specializing in screen printing, embroidery, signs, banners, and stickers. For all jobs, big and small, just give Eric a call.
Email us at info@pyramidprintingcda.com or give us a call at 208-664-0254.
pyramidprintingcda.com.
Ever feel like work and life are pulling you in opposite directions?
You are not alone. That's why we created Thrive, Learn, Connect, a podcast where personal growth meets professional success.
Each week, we share real conversations, insights, and actionable takeaways to help you navigate life and work with more ease, joy, and purpose.
Whether it's managing stress, building better relationships, or finding balance, we are here to help you thrive.
Listen to Thrive, Learn, Connect wherever you get your podcasts, because growth starts with connection.
So you're talking about you do a lot of architecture right now. So tell us about a daily shoot. Tell us about your camera Like what exactly? I know people use iPhones now. What are you using?
I use my iPhone, but not for clients.
That's good. I think that's a good thing.
I transitioned into the mirrorless realm of cameras in the last few years.
What does that mean, mirrorless?
Well, with DSLRs and SLRs before digital, you looked through the viewfinder and then there was a mirror that went down, and so you were looking through the lens. Mm-hmm. Now there's no mirror, and so the mirror, when you take a picture, the mirror doesn't have to flop up in order for the picture to be taken, and your viewfinder is a little LCD screen, so it's when you change your exposure, you actually see your exposure change in the viewfinder.
Okay.
So you can get pretty close just by
eye.
Yeah, by eye.
Okay.
As long as you see well.
Yeah, exactly. So I shoot with Nikon. I've shot with Nikon ever since I transitioned from that first Minolta camera back in the day. And I have a Nikon Z7 II and a Nikon Z8, which it's not their top of the line, which is a Z9, but basically it's the same. It's just not as big and beefy.
Right.
And I just don't need that. So, and I have lenses that are good for architecture stuff, which you need a wide angle for that. I have portraiture lenses. I have macro. I have things for hopefully all the different things I have photographed, because I do a variety of photography. But I transitioned 9 years ago, I think, from working from Quicksilver to going out on my own. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, I started doing photography for Nspire Magazine.
Right.
So for that, I do some architecture, but I also photograph food, adventure things, portraits of artists or inspiring people, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's
maybe
a good
one
variety.
day you'll take pictures of us for the magazine.
You bet.
I keep trying to talk Andreas into doing an article on us.
All I have is my iPhone today.
We'll take anything.
That's right. We're not picky.
We're not picky. Well, that's exciting. So
how's it going with your own business? Sometimes it's a little scary to move out on your own.
It's obviously, anybody that has their own business knows it's a lot of work. You just rarely done and caught up. I get up in the morning and I work out of my house, so my office I go into fairly early every morning, and there's always something that needs to be done, even when I don't have a photo shoot. But
how does it go with your business?
Oh, yeah, it's going well. This time of year is kind of where I'm amping up to get busy. I'm not busy yet. Winter is slow, and it's welcome. Obviously, having money coming in is nice, but I get so busy in the late summer and fall that I am ready for the break when it comes, and get some time to reorganize and re-energize and all that stuff. Yeah, this time of year, things are starting, the weather starts getting nice. People start thinking about getting photos. Mm-hmm. And again, a lot of that is architecture stuff, but I have a shoot coming up it's the tour company that has the Segways.
They come by my house all the time.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tour
yeah.
Coeur d'Alene or something.
Something like that.
But they have a new tour that I'll be shooting some photos of in the
fun.
I think next week.
They used to come by our house and say, "This is the bunny corner. This is where all the bunnies are." It all started with 2 bunnies.
That's funny.
And now there are 30,000 bunnies. Thanks to, it wasn't our fault. I just want to say that out loud.
That's right.
But that's cool. So Segways, we'll see your photos there. Where else can we see your photos? So Nspire Magazine.
Nspire Magazine. I've got, at one point, I figured I had at least 500 prints up in houses and businesses.
Wow.
And stuff in the area. I have a lot of them are up in the Coeur d'Alene Inn. They're in the hallways there, and even in the entryways and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They've been there quite a long time. Mm-hmm. Actually, they're also in all the rooms. They have
really
a couple black and white prints.
Oh, cool.
in each room. Yeah, so they went all out with
Your
That's
work.
nice.
my friend Dustin Weed, who was my assistant for a long time. He did a lot of photography when he was with me, and they selected some of his work as well. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, I haven't pursued much yet with gallery work. I've had a few things in
Blackwell Gallery.
Gallery, but that was quite a few years ago.
Well, I remember once Quicksilver, when you were still working there, you were on Art Walk.
We did do Art Walk for a few years. That was a lot of work because we had to take down each Friday. We had to take down all the senior photos and wedding photos and all that, and
Put up yours.
put up ours
Yeah.
in place, and then it was.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience. But that was quite a while ago. I'd like to dial some things in terms of what I feel is my art. A lot of that is my large format, the 4x5 stuff that I talked about, where I took my camera up in the mountains and to Mexico, etc., and put a nice selection of images together and approach whichever gallery and see about getting some kind of a showing.
Right. Do you sell online?
I do. I'm in the middle of transitioning websites. I chose a website a year ago, so I changed and put a bunch of work into a new website, and then I realized it wasn't what I wanted because it wasn't integrated into a lab that I could use, so that the labs that they had integrated with it weren't sufficient for what I wanted. So I'm in the process of changing over again to a place where I can have a, what do you call it, commerce?
A commerce site, yeah.
So that people can click on this and see what the price is for certain sizes of this type of print and this type of print, and click on it, and then it gets printed and shipped to them. The reason I want to switch is because it utilizes a lab that I'm comfortable with and I have used a lot, so that I know
You trust their work.
I trust their work.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to see everything, and I'll always tell clients if they're not happy with, if there's something wrong with the print, we'll take care of it.
So will this web address will stay the same, though,
It
right?
will stay the same,
So
which
it's
is
joelriner.com.
yes, very
Very
unique.
simple.
You might be the only
Very
one.
creative.
That's right.
That's good.
It works, though.
You bet.
So what's your dream place to film? Photograph?
Well, there's a lot of places that I have not been that I would like to go. Ansel Adams, of course, was a huge influence on me.
I have a book of his.
When I started out, I have never been to Yosemite National Park.
Oh,
So that would be
cool.
awesome to go there and do some photography there. I would love to do a trip to Europe and travel around and there's so many. I could say something different every day.
Yeah.
Whether it's Iceland or Patagonia or there's just what I would really like to do as I get closer to retirement and am able to transition out of the commercial photography is to travel around the United States and whether it's national parks or cityscapes or whatever I feel like photographing, just traveling and shooting photos and meeting interesting people. And this is going to be home base still, but
Greetings, listeners of the Allie and Callie Artcast podcasts. This is Jason from Tubbs Coffee Roasters. Keeping art alive and culture relevant is the heart and soul of our community of creatives. And as a local coffee roaster who loves a good origin story of a painter or a farmer or a musician, we proudly support the Allie and Callie's Artcast podcast's expansion and exploration through positive conversation. So grab a cup of coffee, preferably one from Tubbs Coffee Roasters, and tune in, humans. Your ears will thank you.
Talking about you traveling after you retire, whenever that happens, you could maybe possibly journal or have a book of, I just think it's so great. So many people go to these places and you go, I love this. I've seen it. Like, I think I've seen a book with like all 50 diners in 50 states.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Pretty cool. I mean, so just like going to different states and journaling it through photographing and stories, maybe you could write a book. Or
Have you thought about
Right?
that?
yeah,
Me, right?
Or publish your photos in a
Yes.
in a book.
You know what
form.
they say?
What?
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
There you go. You don't need no stinking.
Never heard that before.
You don't need no stinking words. Yeah, just your photographs will say them
But
all.
yes, a book would be something I would
Yeah.
look into for sure. And I've thought about, obviously, for a long time, but I've had many people tell me I should.
Yeah.
But I have never actually put the work into it.
Well, I just think of like my family has a bunch of photography books and artist books, and we have an Ansel Adams book.
You bet.
And it's just looking through it as a kid, going, I want to go to those places. So I think it's a great way for people who can't travel or see things. You can see it through your photos. What a great way to share your work. Just a little thought.
You bet.
Keep it in mind. I'm your personal helper.
It's right. It's right here. It's right back here.
Put it in the back. And
I
go,
know. Well, especially as you get out and start traveling,
Yeah.
then you might be inspired.
Which I have not done much of since I went out on my own.
Yeah.
Because when I worked a lot when I was at Quicksilver, but you have kind of your scheduled days that you shoot, and you get some vacation time, and vacation time is harder to come by.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, you'll have maybe more freedom eventually.
You bet,
That
yep.
might be the perfect time,
Yeah.
but that'd be fun.
Right. Well, speaking of that, I always think about, first of all, anybody can pick up a camera and take a photo. But there's things about your photos that make those that people want to buy. There's something about your photography that is specialized. And can you talk a little bit about your style and what it is that you see and how you compose your photos?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, what makes my work different. I think I do actually make it an important, something that I strive for is to, if I'm photographing a scene that is widely photographed, to try and do it differently, to look at it a different way. A couple of years ago, I was with friends over at Cape Disappointment for the big king tide coming in, crashing against the rocks with the lighthouse in the background, and there's 200 photographers lined up
Yeah.
shooting photos, and I was like, this isn't
Yeah.
really, it's cool seeing the waves crashing, but I don't want to shoot the same photo as everybody else. So I did wander down through the woods a bit and found a place where there wasn't 5 people beside me and got photos that I was pretty proud of. So I think it's just a matter of trying to look at things differently, I think, and thinking about the image that you're gonna end up with, as opposed to just looking at it through the lens and taking a picture.
Right.
It's like creating the image and, knowing what, there's time where you want to do a couple of different exposures because the range of light is such that you might have to blend them a little bit in Photoshop to get the results that you want. If you're doing close-up work or even just scenic landscapes, a lot of times you'll do focus stacking, they call it, where you shoot one photo that is the foreground is in focus, and then another photo that a little bit further back is in focus, and another photo with a little bit further back, and then you combine those to have everything nice and sharp, which is a pretty big thing in macro photography.
And that's when you're shooting really close-up
stuff.
stuff.
If you're photographing a mushroom or that kind of thing. And I don't do a lot of that, but I'm interested in doing more of that. There is little tricks and obviously knowing how to put them together once you get back to the computer is big. And again, having the equipment, if you got a tripod that's flimsy and moving around on you, And if you're actually, I a lot of times utilize things where I don't have to touch the camera to take the picture, so it doesn't jostle it at all. Because if you're doing different exposures, then you have to line those up afterwards.
Right. Sure. I am not a photographer, not a good photographer. But one of the photos that I'm constantly trying to get is like on a night when there's a full moon, to get that perfect shot of a full moon where it looks like what you see in the sky instead of this glowing orb. Have you had success? I'm sure you have.
Well, I have done some photos. I haven't done it seriously, I guess, because to get the detail of the craters and all that, you got to have a pretty long lens.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you can get to get the detail of the moon. It's people photograph the moon and they think it's dark out. So I gotta
put my flash on or something.
You gotta give it a lot of exposure. And that moon has the sun shining on it, so it's very bright.
Right.
So you have to set your exposure for almost like a daylight exposure as opposed to a night exposure, and then you can get your detail. If you have a good enough lens to get zoomed in on it, it's nice to have some kind of a foreground that's interesting. I remember one time I was trying to get a moon photo coming up. It was supposed to be whatever, some crazy moon. I started hiking just up above Fernan, and I never actually saw the moon because it kind of was going off to the side or something. I don't know exactly, but it did create a nice glow in the sky right above the trees, and I got a couple photos that are kind of interesting, and just that, sometimes you have to
improvise,
exactly. And it leads to another story, I guess, which would be planning. I didn't plan that well. I didn't know exactly where the moon was going to be at the exact time and say, okay, this is where I'm going to be.
Right. So what is your favorite thing to photograph?
Oh my gosh, people ask me that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
let me ask you, what's your least favorite thing?
Well, I gave up wedding photography a long
there you
time
go.
ago.
Fair enough.
Because that's got to be a nightmare.
It just wasn't my thing. A lot of people
hard.
are, and
It's a tense
I've
day.
turned them down because there's people that are really good at photographing weddings, and it's just not my thing.
Understandable.
But I like variety. I remember when I first started out in photography, all the books and everything said, if you want to be a successful photographer, you have to specialize. And I was like, you have to shoot the same thing every day, all the time?
That'll be boring.
I'm like, that is not what I want to do.
No, that does not sound fun.
So I didn't do that. And they also said you had to move to the big city, which I didn't want to do. And so variety to me is what it's all about. I do love being out in nature and seeing amazing scenes and capturing that.
Well, and I think those are most of the photos that I've seen of yours are out in nature, and they're good.
Yeah.
Good. I hope so. One of the things about me in photography is I'm always trying to get better. When I started way back when, I said, really, I'll never retire because I'll keep shooting and keep trying. Even if I do travel the States, I'll still be
when you write your
doing
book.
photography.
Yeah, exactly.
Or take pictures for your book.
I know. I would love to. I just had this thought. Wouldn't it be fun if you kind of traveled and followed Ansel Adams and did a different take of his photos? I think that'd be really cool.
It might not look very good.
Okay, well.
You spent a lot of time in Wyoming.
It was just a thought.
A lot of time in Wyoming, yeah. Anyway.
I would love to go to, a lot of the places that he went, whether it's New Mexico. And,
Well, and they'll look different now.
trees grown up, etc.
Yeah.
Et cetera,
Right.
Be
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, thanks so much for
Yes.
for
You
meeting
bet.
with
I
us.
appreciate you having me
Absolutely.
here.
Make
course.
sure, what's your website again? www.
JoelRiner.com.
All right. Make sure
Pretty
you check it
simple.
out. And
Yep.
you can see his work at the Coeur d'Alene Inn.
That's right.
Get
It's online.
It's online.
Yes.
And even though he's changing his website, he
But
still
it's still
has
there.
one
I
up.
still have one
It's
up.
still there.
Yeah.
Good.
So cool.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well,
bet.
I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to that book.
Yes, me too. You can say thank you, Allie and Callie.
That's right.
Oh, in my book, yes.
Yes, in your book.
In
yes.
your book, yes. Anyway.
Yeah, we always like to get
Special
credit for
thanks.
stuff.
You bet. Just want to make sure that everyone like, subscribe,
Follow,
do,
share.
do all those good things for the Allie and Callie Artcast.com.
That's right. I'm Allie.
And I'm Callie. And whatever you do today, make sure it's creative.
The Allie and Callie Artcast is brought to you by Tubbs Coffee Roasters, ethically sourced, locally roasted coffee, and Pyramid Printing and Embroidery, serving customers near and far for over 2 decades.